Welcome to Thomasville Today. I'm Bonnie Hayes, and I'm sitting here with Brent Runyon of the Thomasville Landmarks Society. Brent, thank you so much for coming in today. You guys, along with the Historical Society, were working with the online voting for the Lapham-Patterson House to get grant money. Update us on the status of how the voting came out.
Well, as you know, the voting was throughout the month of August, and although we gave a valiant effort, we only came in 5th place. But, you know, nationwide, being in 5th place is pretty good.
That's not bad. You say
Right.
you only came in 5th place, but you came in above, I want to say Wakulla.
We were above Wakulla. I think we were above Yellowstone and Yosemite. And
Those are big parks.
Big parks like
Lots
that.
of people visit those, and to say
That's
Lapham-Patterson came in above some of those big ones really lets you know the support that the town had for the
Very
big
true.
house. Yeah.
Very true. I think the main thing that the voting showed us was that there are a lot of people that care about the Lapham-Patterson House. So it really gave us a chance to raise the visibility of the park in our community. So
Right.
although it's been closed for about a year now, we are working to get it reopened in conjunction with the Historical Society, and people can actually call now for private tours of the house.
Oh, well, I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that you could do that. We've just assumed, seeing as the doors were shut to the everyday
Right.
tourist traffic, you couldn't get in there. If you guys had won the grant money, Brent, what would have happened at the Lapham-Patterson House?
Well, Bonnie, it's a big house, and there's a lot of maintenance that needs to be done. The state is actually about to replace the roof.
Okay.
And that's probably about $150,000
Wow.
of investment
Okay.
right there. But they had that set aside. But other things that need to be done, there's a lot of carpentry, there's rotten wood, the porch needs to be fixed, and there are a lot of really great intricate details in the woodwork that are expensive to replicate. So those are some of the things, along with painting the exterior and a few interior things, although the interior is in pretty good shape. There is some plaster work to repair because of the roof damage and some leaks that had occurred.
Right.
So you know, as with any old house, you can spend as much money as you want to.
Right. Well, okay, so people say if we don't get another grant, if there's not one, what is going to be the future for this house?
Well, fortunately, a couple of local foundations stepped up and provided us with enough operating funds to keep the utilities going and do some other things. Stony Creek Landscaping has been mowing the grass for over a year, and they've promised to keep doing that for as long as we need
nice.
them to. Shows real community support. So the future really depends on how we can reimagine the house to be, because tourism dollars are not going to support the ongoing needs of the house. I don't even think the amount of tours they give each year would have paid for the utilities.
Wow. Okay.
So without that state appropriation, what are we going to do? And some of the things we're thinking about are maybe opening up for weddings, receptions, things where we can generate some income.
Well, I think that would be very nice for the town to be able to use that beautiful historical site.
I think so, and there have been at least 3 weddings there. The Patterson daughters, which was the last family to own it, they had their weddings there, and we have pictures. So it will accommodate small weddings inside the house, and certainly receptions and things.
Well,
So
that would be an interesting reception to
Yeah.
go to. It would be wonderful.
it would be, and it has such the grounds could be lovely again. But I would encourage people to call the Historical Society.
Okay.
Go on a tour, really look at the space. It's really, really beautiful inside. And the Historical Society has removed a lot of the items that they were sent back to the state
Okay.
for storage. So you can really see the details in the spaces now, and it's really lovely.
The woodwork and everything. Well, you bring up, as we said, you partnered with the Historical Society, and you're saying how we can contact them. People probably still ask you, what's the difference between Landmarks and the Historical Society? And what's the answer? What do you say?
Well, they've been around since 1952, I believe, and they really were set up to collect the stories and the documents and kind of things you can bring into a museum. That was their main goal, because as families pass away and whatnot, people move on. We want those things to stay in the county, so we'll have a history. Landmarks was set up in the 60s as a reaction to change that was going on with the modern movement. And we were really set up to kind of preserve community character.
Okay.
So we are working more outside the walls of our building and they're working more on things they can bring onto their property.
Preserving history for the historical sake.
Yeah, we both preserve history. They preserve things mainly things you can hold, although they do have some buildings on their campus. And we try to help other people preserve things that are out in the community that we live in, work in, shop in.
Well, give us a for instance. You guys have got some good success stories. Some people may have heard of some, but what are some that your favorite that you like to point to that you can say that's what the Landmarks did?
Okay, well, there are two really big ones, and a lot of people have forgotten the first one because it happened in the 70s. But the South Hansel Street, where All Saints churches between Remington and Smith Avenue, that's called the Tocquattin Historic District. So that area was threatened with a grocery store in the 70s. They were actually going to buy 4 or 5 of the houses there that were built from 1850s to the 1880s, tear those down and build a grocery store that would look similar to the Winn-Dixie out on Pine Tree.
Right.
And I think it was a Winn-Dixie store. So Landmark stepped in. Ultimately, we had to buy the houses, and we held them for a while before we were able to sell them. But now that neighborhood is really lovely.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Very expensive.
Adds to the whole ambiance of the city,
right.
really.
Those are some of the finest houses in town.
Okay.
And then the other one that's more recent is the Warren Avenue South Love Street project.
Okay.
Those houses are more modest, built in the 1880s mostly, but really lovely, close together, so it's a real in-town neighborhood. And early on, that neighborhood was filled with doctors and other people that had stores in downtown, a real solid middle-class neighborhood. And when we got involved, it was mostly full of boarding houses, a lot of crime, but you know, it's close to downtown, it's right next to our schools. So Landmarks actually went in and bought 16 of those houses and turned them around. They're now all single-family, homeowner occupied.
And it's so adorable. It looks like you've honestly stepped back in time when you walk and you drive through that area.
Such a success story. But the houses were all made modern, for modern use. A lot of them have very large kitchens, some swimming pools in the neighborhood. There are a lot of kids again.
Right.
So that is really probably the biggest success story that people would know about when they think about landmarks.
All right. So let's talk about, you've told us success stories. You've got to be looking forward. What are some of the projects you're working on now?
Well, one thing we're trying to do, and we're working with a grant from the National Trust, is really getting outside the city limits, working in the smaller communities. So one thing we're doing is working with Metcalf, which is such a great little historic township that's not incorporated. So they have no local, you know, politicians that are leading the town. So we're working with them to help redevelop their little downtown strip of stores.
Okay.
So that's really kind of progressing well. We're working with the mayor of Meigs on some planning issues there and how to kind of preserve the historic resources they have and bring back the downtown. And he's providing great leadership there, but we're helping. And inside the city of Thomasville, we're working with the city on the Victoria Place urban redevelopment area. And we kind of helped with the concept plan, looking at what resources we could preserve, and then also help develop guidelines for the new houses that will be built there. So we're really involved in a multitude of levels.
You're very busy then.
From housing preservation to community planning.
Well, that's good. You're kind of, it sounds like you're reaching out in the surrounding parts of Thomasville.
Exactly.
That's great.
And it's sometimes hard to define what we do, but I think it all boils down to what do you want your community to look like? And we're helping to preserve the historic character and promote new development that is harmonious with that character.
And so people will probably ask you too, well, why is that important? And what do you say to the people who say, but why?
Well, it's really important that, you know, as everyone says, if you don't know where you came from, it's hard to know where you're going. So we really believe that having that historic character in your community helps you remember our past, and that is so important for a sense of identity. I think all Americans identify with the founding of our country. We don't identify with the colonial period because we're not British citizens.
Right.
So it's just a small part of, you know, the character of how the community developed, why we're here, where we came from, and as a result, you know, those values that made us such a strong place will continue into the future. You know, if we knocked it all down and built plastic boxes or metal boxes to live in, really that doesn't say anything about who we are as a community. So we want to keep that sense of identity that Thomasville has that makes it unique from every other place in the country.
Right, and that's wonderful. That's a great answer. So, people who want to become involved, who feel like you do, how can they become a part of Landmarks?
Well, it's really easy. We are a membership-supported organization. We have over 500 members, and we really encourage people to give any level. They can go to our website, which is thomasvillelandmarks.org, and sign up to become a member online. And when they do that, they also get a membership to the National Trust for 1 year.
Okay.
That's included. But we really, if people can't give monetarily, we have projects they can become involved with. The biggest one that we have is Operation Care. That will be occurring this year on October 16th and 23rd.
Okay, and what will that be?
We will be fixing up 2 houses on the Lester Street area, which is near the Dunlap School. One of the houses is occupied by a single mother and her 3 kids. And basically she needs some foundation work, some roof work. And the volunteers, though, will actually come in and finish it up. They'll be painting the houses, doing some landscaping. And really it will help a family that works and the kids are going to school. They just need a little bit of help. They own the house, they take care of it as best they can.
So people can volunteer their time, their abilities, any level. I'm sure you would take anything. Any
level. We just, if they're children under the age of 12, they have to have adult supervision. But, anybody can use a paintbrush, and we encourage people to come out, become a part of preservation in the community, and just help us put the finishing touches on these houses.
Well, that's great. And as you said, they can go online and sign up for this?
That's right. All the information is online, thomasvillelandmarks.org. They can sign up for membership, for Operation Care. We also have committees that people can become involved with. We have a picnic on the October 7th for membership and guests.
Okay.
And so people can become involved in working on that.
And each year you kind of have a big fundraiser too. It's the Kentucky Derby fundraiser. Are you doing that again this year?
We anticipate it. We've done it for several years. It's been out at Pebble Hill's Hill Barn, which is a lovely facility, and they work with us on that to make it affordable. So that is actually the only fundraiser we have besides our membership income. And we really depend on it. And it's a lot of fun. It's a great party. But it's also a great reason to become involved with Landmarks.
Right. Well, good. Well, we appreciate it. I hope everything goes well. And again, you ask people to look up your website and then just type in Landmarks.
That's right. Type in Thomasville Landmarks and you'll find our website and just browse around on there. Many, many ways to get involved.
Okay. Thank you, Brent. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Thank you for watching Thomasville Today. I'm Bonnie Hayes. Hope to see you again next week.